Greetings, folks, and welcome to Channel Other Doc. I am Jim. I use he/him pronouns, and today we are playing Futurity. This is a story game about oracles foretelling the future, written by Summer from Off the Table. We're going to go ahead and go around and say who we are and who we're playing. Today I'm playing an oracle named Krux, who uses he and they pronouns. And let us start with Alex. Hello.
Hello, Jim. Happy to be back. I'm Alex Wolf, they, them, and today I will be playing Ink, pronouns they, them.
Awesome. And I'm just going to continue around counterclockwise, and I will go over to Sin. Hello.
Hi. This is actually my first time doing a stream or anything like this. So,
hey, awesome.
Yeah, you can call me Sin or Devin. I use she or they pronouns. And I'm playing... I think I said Omen, and they use they, them.
Cool. Excellent. Welcome to streaming, and also I'm sorry. Let us move around now finally to Eve. Hello.
Hi, I'm Eve. It's also my first time streaming as well. They, them, not they, them, she, her pronouns. And, I've streamed on my own little thing, but that's only when I'm nature walking. I delete most of those though.
Well, no worries. No, this one hopefully will not end up being deleted, but one never knows. But thank you so much for coming and joining us again for first time on here. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to get into this game, but before we do, I'm going to go ahead and go over the usual spiel, which is that, like we do with most games on this channel, we are going to be using the X card, the N card, and the O card. If we hit something that's crossing a line for one of us, any of us can type an X in the Zoom video chat or anywhere else, or make an X symbol, and we'll back up and do something else. If something happens that we're okay having in the game, but we don't want a graphic description of it, we can type an N in the Zoom chat and we'll fade to black on it, or we'll put it behind a veil, so it'll be there, but we won't go into detail. Finally, if we're exploring a topic or an area of roleplay that's particularly intense for us, but we want to keep going anyway, we can put an O in the chat to let us know that we're okay and that we're all good to keep piling on the drama. Something else we can do is put an O with a question mark after it when we're moving into a difficult topic, or if we say or we do something and then think, maybe that might have been a little too much. Then everyone else can respond to that again with an X, an N, or an O to let us know if we're still doing okay. And now we shall proceed to Futurity. I have played this once. It was a little while ago, but it was a lot of fun, and I want to see if we can do this now. I'm going to go ahead and read through here so we know what's going on. So as we're playing the game, when you play Futurity, you act as an oracle, revealing visions of the future. You'll take turns drawing confusion cards and offering visions influenced by tarot cards. Whoever wishes to go first may. There's no real turn order in this. You just sort of go as the mood strikes you. If it comes down to it, we can establish a turn order if folks feel more comfortable that way, but it's pretty much however we want to set it up. So on your turn, you draw a confusion card. Confusion cards are short phrases symbolizing problems or events in your life that can be the mortal and magic, present and past. You read it aloud and expound upon it as you like, adding context or clarifications about yourself and the world. Finish by asking a question about the future of your confusion. When you're ready, choose any oracle, yourself included, to be the oracle select. They will draw a tarot card and interpret it as an absolute and concrete vision of the future. Other oracles may offer their own interpretations and visions, but the oracle select is not required to take these into account. Speak in confident actualities. You are a master of your craft, and you have never been wrong before. When the oracle who drew the confusion card feels their question has been resolved with visions of the future, tell the others with which pieces of the vision come true, if any. No one may disagree with the oracle who drew the confusion. They alone speak of what actually comes to pass. There is no decided turn order. After a confusion card has been drawn and answered, anyone may draw next, including the person who has just drawn. All oracles must agree on who draws. Take turns this way, building on previous visions and tangling your oracles' lives together until you feel the game has reached its natural conclusion. When you reach this end, you may stop drawing confusion cards. Each oracle may draw one last tarot card and offer one final vision of the future. And that's that's it. That's how the game works. What I will ask is, does anyone wish to volunteer to go first? If not, I will go first by way of demonstration.
I vote for Krux as way of demonstration.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, no problem, no problem. That was me reading a bunch of stuff, so now when we actually do it, it'll probably make a little more sense. So I get to draw a confusion card, so from the gray deck here. And this is Ace of Diamonds, Accomplished Companions, it says. So what that means is that Accomplished Companions is something that it symbolizes a problem or event in my life, in Crux's life specifically, and I can expound upon it as I like, adding context or clarifications, and then I'll ask a question about it, and which I'll pick one of you to be the Oracle Select to draw a tarot and interpret it, and then others can throw in their interpretations of it as well. Let's see. So I think that for Krux, I imagine Krux is kind of this. Now again, we have no idea what this world is like. We're building it as we go. But I imagine that Krux is kind of this old and wizened creature who's been around for a very long time. You would sort of see someone at this point that we oracles are meeting. You would see someone who's got like just hooded, has suggestion of being very sort of old and wrinkled, sort of delicate. Perhaps there is some inner light that comes out from eyes of some kind, but we're not sure. But I think that as far as accomplished companions goes, I think what Krux is trying to figure out is that I think that the accomplished companions in this case are probably people that it's not so much that he had at one time a number of people that he would interact with, rely upon, would follow him in his journeys. He traveled a lot. And he is wondering if he is ever going to get to that point where he will find more people to do that with again. And so that is the question. Will I had incredibly skilled companions in the past, and I want to know if I will ever have that level of interaction and camaraderie again in this seeming eternity that stretches out before me, even though I might not live too much longer in one form. And I think the person I'm going to choose, if you don't mind, I think I'm going to choose Alex for the Oracle Select for this turn.
Sure.
So you get to draw a card.
Draw a tarot card.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And you get to interpret that as sort of as part of your answer.
Okay.
What you might notice also about these cards is that they have two different meanings listed on them. One on top and one on the bottom. And if you want, we can always rotate the card to show the alternate meaning. So we have the magician with power and inspired action, or as he rotates, manipulation, poor planning, and untapped talents. So it can be either one. So now you get to talk.
Great. Well, I think, and I might need you to wait. No, I can rotate it. Excellent. So, Ink is going to draw one of the tarot cards, and it's going to turn face up, so it will be the Magician on the positive index for power and inspired action.
Okay.
And I believe that this means that Krux will find another accomplished companion among the new oracles, and that perhaps it is someone that you've already gone to either for advice or someone within our group that you look up to, that you will take inspiration from, and that you will see the accomplishment in that you once saw in your previous companions, those that you no longer prophesize with. That is how I interpret this card.
Okay. Cool. Now we get to basically pull. If anyone else has, does anyone else have an alternate interpretation or something else that they think that this means? And you can feel free, basically, to make up whatever you like. That's basically the beauty of this. If you want to throw something in or no.
Can we use either end of the card?
Absolutely.
So, I think Omen, like with their namesake, sort of sees negative omens in just about everything and can interpret things more darkly. And I think they would like kind of key in on that and say the opposite. They think that they fear that perhaps Krux, nearing the end of his life, might find that he did not accomplish as much as he once thought he would, or as much as he hoped he would, in comparison to his previous companions who did so much more.
Okay. And does Aspen want to throw anything in on this?
Yeah. So Aspen's gonna go with the positive side, and being that they're kind of light and still coming into being an oracle of this new age, they take that and they say, Krux, for you, I see that the power is more where this will lead. Power and unity with the other oracles around you, that though you may go, you'll leave behind a power for someone else to follow in your steps.
And now the Oracle Select can choose to revise if they wish, or they can just say, nope, it's just what I said, before passing it back to me.
So I will look to Omen. Of course, Omen saw the negative. Omen sees the negative in all. But there is wisdom in considering both sides of the coin, and perhaps it is as much a promise as a warning. So there is truth in what both of our counterparts have said. You will leave a legacy, but it has the potential to be a negative one if you are not careful of the power that comes with being seen as accomplished. So tread lightly and consider what legacy you wish to leave behind.
Okay. All right, and then I get to say what actually happens as a result of that, and I think that what happens, he says, already deciding to dive right into the dark end of things, because of course, hi, it's me. I think that Krux, taking these things into consideration, is going to find ways that are perhaps not entirely awesome to extend his life a bit. And that's not the point of it. But he's looking for finding, being able to pass on everything. He's forgotten so much, and he wants to pass on as much as he can. And he fears it's going to be lost. So he becomes, in some ways, whilst seeking the companionship of others, he also is just becomes more kind of more, one might almost say, lich-like in a way, in that he just basically isn't doing things that are outright evil at this point, but is, shall we say, starting to take perhaps a broader view of the different available sources of power than had previously been established. Perhaps seeing more shades of gray than he had in the past. So it is, he becomes much less of a bright beacon that he was when he was younger. And so that's my turn. And so we know these things already about the world, and now the question is, who wants to go next?
I'll go next, if that works for folks.
Yeah.
Let's see. Confusion. The Nine of Hearts. Recent misunderstandings. Recently, I had an argument with Omen, and was growing a bit fed up with the constant interpretation on the negative, thinking that perhaps Omen wasn't seeing the future so much as seeing the future they wanted to see. And it was a big misunderstanding. It was, you speak the truth as much as I do, but I didn't want to hear this particular truth. And I closed my ears to the knowledge, which I should not have done. We should be objective and listen well and interpret honestly, but I couldn't, and I thought that you were attacking me, but perhaps you were just speaking your truth. And I think I would go to Aspen for advice on this. So, Aspen, would you draw a tarot card for me and tell me how you think this situation resolves itself?
Yeah, definitely. So, don't know.
Yeah. Let me know if you're if you need me to do anything.
Yep, I'm probably am.
Okay. Do you want me to leap in and steal one of those cards, basically, and
Sure.
Because I think I can do that. Okay. I think you have to approve it. Hopefully the thing that'll pop up will be something you can...
Yeah. Oh, hold on. There we go. I think I got it.
Oh, okay, awesome.
So, Queen of Stars.
Okay. Does it let you drag it out, or no?
Nope. Probably doesn't. This happens when I don't notice that I had... Oh, there we go. There's your steal request.
Oh, no problem, no problem. We're all new to how to this, so it's no worries. Let's see.
It actually won't let me confirm your still request at all.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, I wonder if I can undo it. Nope. Alright. It was Queen of Stars?
Yes.
Okay, if you'll give me a second, I will go ahead and see if I can just pull them back in and pull that out of the deck. So I'm going to go ahead and recall those. And that was Queen of Stars, which I just realized I shuffled the deck, so it is. So now I will attempt to. There we go. It's a little bit easier. Okay. As I increase the size of the things on the screen for my aged eyes. Let's see here. And sorry, just running through them real quick so that I can pull the right one. It was at the end. Okay. All right. So the Queen of Stars is out. There it is. Okay. So you've got nurturing, practical, and providing, or the opposite side, which is sorry, I have to. Work, home conflict, self-care. The different options there.
I'm going to go with the nurturing, practical, providing. So Aspen, taking into account what Ink has said, their eyes mist over as they tell Ink what they see. I see you realigning your conflict with Omen. That there are two sides to every coin. Omen is a side that no one wants to hear of when it comes to what we see. So for our truth, we must nurture that part that is Omen to bring out the better futures that will be more providing and more practical for us individually. I see a strength coming from linking those two together. When taking into account Omen's words and yours, there is a balance that will be set.
Thank you, Aspen, for your wise interpretation.
Can you remind me what the nature of the confusion was again about?
A misunderstanding. I took Omen's prophesizing as a personal attack on myself.
Okay. If I may, I think that I foresee that if you continue, whether it is meant to, Omen is in some ways mysterious by nature, in that it is very difficult to see what lies behind, if anything, the prophecies. But I think it is best to take it that it is not much. It is not anything personal. It is a thing of duty. That is an opinion, however. What I foresee is that if you allow this disagreement to continue, if you hold on to it, if you allow it to fester, then it will cause problems not only for you but also for Omen. You will find yourselves in competition with each other. And I foresee a time when there is a schism as you both accumulate followers, and they begin to war with each other. This is preventable, I feel. But what you do is up to you. And of course, Omen can also chime in if they would like.
I feel like Omen is too close to this one and doesn't really want to interpret in any way.
No, that's perfectly
So,
reasonable.
I'm going to stay quiet.
Yeah, and then Aspen can decide if they want to account for anything that I've just said, or to just leave it all out. You get final say on that, and then
Aspen does. Aspen says that what Krux has said is true. If you all are unable to find that balance and nurture each other's own different views, then the followers that you will have will bring chaos to both of you. So believe in what each other says, and don't let these minor disputes ruin a bond that you all have already created.
it's back to ink to decide how this confusion clears up and what happens.
I forgot about that step. Thank you both for your wise counsel. And so Ink will make peace with Omen and apologize for losing sight of the grander vision, and for taking their words so personally when they sought only, as we do, to speak the truth plainly as we see it. And so I believe Ink will reconcile with Omen, and will acknowledge that the fault lied with myself, and that I will attempt to do better in the future to live up to the potential that has been shown to me by my fellow oracles.
Awesome. And there we are. So, who else has a confusion?
I think it feels natural for me to go next.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Sure.
So confusion. Did it draw? Ah. King of Spades? Is that what that is? Is it a purple storm?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So omens see, like, they look at the world and they see a lot of like dark corners, and they don't want to. Like, they want to be able to see the good omens as well as the bad ones. So, but they recently saw something that was very, very muddled to them, and it confused them, and they don't know how to sort of reconcile this black and white in shades of gray. So they're confused. How can one look at something that is sort of a mixed bag, like purple is a very, very mixed color, and see how this is anything other than, like, you know, a terrible hurricane or a great like a great rain for the harvest. So I think my confusion is, how do we know? How do I figure out what is in the middle of the good and the bad? And I will ask Krux, with all of his experience in age and wisdom, to sort of determine that.
It's a very, it is a very weighty question. And I shall draw a tarot card to see what the nature of the vision is. 4 of stars, so either saving, security, conservation, or control, or greed and self-protection. It is a strange thing, humanity attempting to extend their will over life to come. Purple is an example of that, because it's not truly a color. It is a thing that we have seen, that we have defined, that looks to us in a certain way. But the spectrum of color shifts from indigo to violet. And it is somewhere in there that we identify a sense of purple, which can be useful, but it depends on what we do with it. If we want to impose our idea on the world itself, if we wish to define it as purple, for example, then I foresee a storm greater than any we've encountered coming upon us. I see the idea of humanity's attempts to force harvest in the weather. I see a vain attempt at weather magics. Being cast upon all that we can see. And going too far. There is a potential for a great flood that will not end us, but will make it incredibly more difficult to harvest, and we shall have to change the way that we do things from that point on, if it is not stopped. anyone else want to chime in?
Aspen takes that of what Krux says and leads with, I see that with us we have tried to strive for too many things as well. We as oracles can only advise those who follow. But with that, I see that this storm that is brewing is not one that is natural. It is one that was man-made. One that will lead the harvest for many years to ruin. And it is very plaguing in a way. The purple is unnatural and will not be good until it dissipates out of the area. So where those crops will be, that purple haze, that purple storm shall stay right there in its center. For this to not come to pass, what Krux said must come true. It must be stopped. Whoever is leading this must not find a way to complete their task.
And did anyone else want to add anything? And one thing I also forgot to mention is that if you yourself have the confusion, you can also offer a prophecy even if you're not the Oracle Select during the time of things. So Omen could chime in on this as well if
really?
you get another idea. Yeah, but you finally get to say what actually happens, but not until I've sort of given the final sort of whether I incorporate any of those visions or not.
So then I think I would chime in and say, okay, I'm starting to see more that while we get these glimpses of what is to come, they are only glimpses. We see while I may see the end of the spectrum, it is through people's actions and choices that it could reach any degree of what we see. So while I may see a hurricane due to all of the horrible choices that may be made, it could become much lighter if people are to decide to do something. If people are to decide that they won't make those decisions that would lead them to that end destination. I think I see that now.
Did Ink want to add anything?
No.
Okay. Then I think what I'm going to adjust about my prophecy here is that I think it's going to be a very. I think what I see is going to be a very slow process, and it is something that I think, if it happens, will look good to people at first. It will take time over generations. And it will depend largely on what people see as to whether it comes to pass or not. If they take stock of what's happening. So it is by no means certain, but I do still foresee a great flood coming at the end if nothing is done. And so that being my prophecy, it then goes back to Omen to decide what actually happens.
Okay. So I think Omen takes in all of this as advice, and when they start to see something that they believe could only happen in the most horrible way, that may be what they see. They watch and see how things actually occur, and they pay more attention to how people's decisions have swayed the future one way or another. And so that hurricane that they thought might occur if people did horrible things ends up being just a regular summer shower.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. And one other thing also before the next person goes, I just wanted to... we have Summer in chat. Hi. Who's also reminded that you can choose yourself to be your own Oracle Select. Basically on these cards, if you decide that... if you throw down a confusion and you're like, I'm going to be my own Oracle Select and I'm going to prophesy this, if you want, as a thing you can do. We had a point in the game that I played that happened, and it was just this wonderful moment of, and now I'm going to monologue for a little while. But it's totally a valid thing to do. And yeah, you can take suggestions, but offer up your own vision and then see if your vision comes true, basically, as based on how that works. So, who would like to go next?
So I'll draw.
Okay. Let me know if you need
By
any
that
help.
I mean Ryan. Will you draw?
Yes, absolutely. I shall draw for you if you so desire. Okay, you have the 2 of spades.
Okay.
High tide. That is the nature of your confusion.
So with this, with their confusion, Aspen is a bit unsure, for their name does mean water. And they have tried to see what this would mean, but as it says, there seems to be a wave of high tide to where it's unknown. They are unsure if their name is taking into account or taking into effect what they can see, and they've been having trouble getting past this fog of blurry water visions, as if they themselves are drowning in their own high tide, a high tide of their own visions that are just flooding in.
Yeah.
And so they come and they request ink to describe for them what this confusion can lead to, what can be seen.
And ink will draw a tarot card. The 5 of Wands. Disagreements, tension, and diversity. Actually, I'm going to flip this one. Ink draws it in the inverse, with a release of tension and avoiding confrontation. And so I interpret this, Aspen, that though you feel that you are being overwhelmed with the visions, I think that you will continue to prophesize and avoid anything that might cause confrontation because you are overwhelmed, and not that you would ever misinterpret a vision, but perhaps there is too much for you to process sometimes, and you must release this. You must let go of this need to be always performing, always on, always listening. And perhaps you would be wise to seek counsel from Krux or Omen, one who has the wisdom to guide, or one who must always see a side of the prophecy that many would not consider, and they have found peace with themselves in these interpretations, and I believe their guidance would help you. But here in this, I see that you would avoid it for fear that it would lead to complication or confrontation, either with those you prophesize for or with the other oracles.
So, once again, I have that thing where it's like the wrong brain kicks in when I suddenly have to do a technical thing, and so I'm trying to remember what the nature of the confusion was when it came to. It's like I see high tide, but it was
like they were drowning in their own visions, too many at once, fog and a blur of everything that they were seeing.
Gotcha. And this is everyone, or just Aspen?
Just Aspen.
Okay. I would suggest then that now the change of any sort of flow is natural in many ways. It might be good to see where the current goes. If you find this new current of prophecy within you, it might not necessarily be a question of attempting to direct it, control it. It might simply be a question of following it, working with it. Not in such a way as you would lose yourself, obviously, but in a way to understand its movements, understand how this current of prophecy works. And that, I think, is a way to move toward mastering visions once again. I can help you with that if you wish. Anyone else have anything they want to throw in? If not, then it's I believe it's back to Ink to say if they want to change anything.
Wise words as always, Krux. Thank you for your guidance. I do hope that, yes, I do fully agree with your interpretation, and I do hope that, Aspen, you will seek counsel when you feel overwhelmed, for that is how you will lean more into releasing tension than allowing it to grow to confrontation.
And so Aspen heeds both of what Ink and Krux has said. They do seek, as they stated before, there is two sides to every coin. They do seek both Omen and Krux. And eventually they're able to find that calm, because within their own visions, once again, for as high tide rises, there's always a low tide. And so they are able to find that once again and be calm with their visions to where it's not so flooding as it once was.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Whose confusion is next? I mean, I can go again if there's, because we're kind of doing the counterclockwise thing, which is fine. If anyone has something they want to dive in on, let's see. So, my confusion is doubt removed. Interesting. Okay. I am confused about doubt being removed.
Confused about not being confused.
Yes.
It's very
I'm
nice.
worried that I am not confused enough. I feel as though my lack of confusion is going to cause problems. Yes, I think that, so, I have found, as I was speaking of the currents of prophecy earlier, I have found a number of different sources of things, of means of accessing prophecy, means of gaining the power to see. And a thing that does concern me is that some of the, they aren't this precisely, but some of the sources that I have been tapping into recently have these unwavering voices that are much more specific about things that are going to happen. And I am concerned that some of my followers are beginning to express what appears to be blind belief in the things that I tell them, which I wish to advise, but I am concerned that if I continue to make use of these other sources, these fonts of divination that have revealed themselves to me, transcendent beings, magical places, things of that nature, that I am concerned that the removal of all doubt will bring it to the point that there may be there may be a schism, holy wars, that manner of thing, and I do not wish it to lead to that, for I have never seen myself as that important. But I need the raw, unadulterated truth on this. So I am going to ask Omen to be the Oracle Select.
Okay. So I draw a tarot card. A hermit. We have soul searching and introspection. Or how do I rotate this?
So if you hover over it, or if you click on it, you should get a one. So you see these little blue things on it, and one of them's going to be sticking out. There it is. Yeah.
isolation, loneliness, withdrawal. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the first one. So, Omen hears you, and you said that you're worried that what your prophecies may be taken almost too literally, or too.
Yeah.
You believe people might be too reliant on what you say.
Yes.
And so, I believe that what Krux needs to do is you need to look at your sources, look at yourself, look at your followers, the people who listen to you, and really start thinking, are the words that you're saying, the prophecies that you're telling them, are they helping or are they hurting? Because if you know something to be 100% true, will having that doubt removed, will having that clarity, and giving that true knowledge to a person actually help them, or will it make their life more difficult? Will they just be able to think of nothing else? If you tell them that something bad will happen, for sure, will they be able to do anything else? So I think if Krux doesn't have that introspection and that soul searching moment, then being too upfront with everything he knows might end up hurting someone.
Did anyone else have something to add? Because I actually also have a slight vision in the midst of this of myself, of Krux going out, and actually, because we can also just use the title of the card if we want as an interpretive thing. I see Krux going out into the desert to get away from these things and becoming something of a hermit to try to counteract what he sees as a dangerous movement happening. I foresee that as a possible future where the soul searching happens, the introspection happens, but he does so alone, which is, of course, something that he has feared to do, as we have established. But then, yeah. And of course, anyone else can continue to jump in. We haven't gone back for the final vision yet. All right. Then if no one else has anything, then it's back to Omen for the final vision.
Okay. Yeah, so Omen agrees that I see you going off on your own to sort of reflect on your life as an oracle and the prophecies that you've told. And I believe that when you do this, you will find that the truth about yourself, and if the truth that you've been telling has been worth telling.
Okay. So I think what comes to pass is that Krux does decide to sequester himself for a time. He goes out into the wilderness to gain greater knowledge through introspection, which he does, but unfortunately, it means that the voices that he is, the sources that he is hearing kind of louder than ever, and it is a little difficult on his sanity. He is struggling a little bit with reality as it is and reality as it should be. But he is achieving at least clarity on how to prophesy, which is what he was seeking in the first place, and how to do it with or without affecting others. As he sits there in this gnarled, hollowed out tree at the edge of the desert that he has made his home. And now who has a confusion?
I think Ink does, now that Krux has left us to sequester in the woods. So Ink feels betrayed by Crux's abandonment. Krux was meant to was the more senior of us, the one that was meant to lead and to guide us, and now who are we without this guidance? I mean, we are all talented oracles, but this was not how it was supposed to be, and now Krux was supposed to be here to help, to aid us in learning how to interpret our visions, and now Krux is gone. And I am confused. How, if Krux returns, how will we ever trust him again? And I do want to hear... I'm very curious to hear Omen and Aspen's interpretation, but I think Omen should be the Oracle select for this one. I am feeling morose and perhaps want to be confirmed in the way that I am feeling.
Okay. So you want to know how we can trust him again when he does return, if he does return.
Yes. How can we trust that he just won't abandon us again?
So we got the 8 of Stars, apprenticeship, mastery, and skill development. I look at this card and I see it very, very clearly to me, is that Krux has been our guide, our sort of our tutor in all of this, in learning how to harness our visions and see these prophecies. And now that he's not here for however long, we don't know, it is clear that we need to now master our skills on our own, that someday Krux will be gone for forever, and and we won't have his leadership and guidance anymore. We'll have to make our own way as oracles. And so when he does return, we must trust that he can continue to teach us what he knows, but we must also discover, or we must also learn how to develop our skills on our own. We must learn how to work as oracles without his guidance there. And so I think when Krux does return, that we will find that in his absence we have grown stronger in our individual talents.
The fun part of this is even though I'm away, I could chime in on this if I wanted to. I don't think I'm going to because it's about me, but it's a possibility.
Eve, were you talking? Because we couldn't hear you.
Yeah, I pushed my mic mute again. All right. So as Omen finishes with their revelation, Aspen states, though this has been a wound to all of us, and greatly to you, Ink, for I know you are close to heart to Krux. Him taking passage on his own is just the step that is needed to push us further and where we're meant to go. We will be able to trust him again, that I do see. Though it will take a long time, for trust, now that is broken, takes a while to mend. And it is through this that the apprentice will step forward and become their master as well, and take their own apprenticeship, for we will have those coming to seek us soon, just as we seeked Krux at one time.
Yeah, I agree with Aspen on all of this. Krux went on this sabbatical to reevaluate himself, and this can be seen as sort of a test or an opportunity of our own growth as oracles. And when he returns, we have to trust that he did this as much for us as he did for himself. So I believe that when Krux returns, we will find that we have grown stronger in our abilities to exist without him.
Thank you both, as always, for your generous and kind counsel. And next, Ink will go out of the place where we prophesize and seek out an apprentice of their own. And will seek one of no nobility, nothing special. There are no stars that aligned. It is simply trusting that fate will lead me to an individual who will grow to be as wise and generous and kind as we have become in the past years under Crux's guidance.
Awesome. Well, I think at this point we're going to take a quick break. So that we may recharge our oracular abilities, and we will see you shortly. Welcome to the break. We have Trooper with us to chat about a few things, and I just wanted to, I think, for this little chat, I wanted to find out more about the stuff that you are doing online now, your Twitch channel, and the games you're playing in, both on it and off it. So, what you doing?
What am I doing? So I've got my Twitch channel, Trooper SJP, and I normally stream video games on Thursdays and Saturdays. Thursdays 6 Eastern, give or take, and noon Eastern on Saturdays, give or take. And I try to do something on the Mac on Thursdays and something on the PS4 on Saturdays. But to be honest, and I always go for like really story heavy games, RPGs, indie games, things that will allow me to go and just chat with the audience about things like, how do we feel about these things? But to be fair, I just get distracted most of the time and talk about RPGs and life. And that is lovely. I'm also really happy to be running a game on my channel on Fridays at 7, and that's called City of Light and Shadow, and it is a Fate condensed game that I have modified quite a lot because Fate is modular, and it is a French resistance campaign, and it is something that I have been wanting to do since 1988. I was inspired to run a game. I saw a TV show, a British show about women special agents airdropped into France to work with the French resistance as part of the SOE. And it was such a great show. And I thought, I want to run a campaign like that. But it was 1988, and it wasn't really, the player base wasn't there yet. The players weren't there to do the kind of really emotional and thoughtful and kind of gritty game that I wanted. Sort of the not exactly a power fantasy. And I just waited, and I've waited almost 30 years. I've waited like 30 something years. And in this moment of streaming where you can get connected to players in so many different spaces, so you can find the people who want to play historical with no magic and no elves, B, want to play historical that's also gritty and not necessarily Bondian in that way, like do you want to play kind of a gritty espionage, and people who are going to bring it and who would be really thoughtful about that. And I found the players, and I've been running it, and it's been just such a wonderful experience. And I ended up using Fate rather than GURPS, which was what I was originally going to use, because I can use faction things in ways I thought would be interesting. And it's been such a great experience. And I love the game. I love the cast, and anybody who wants to watch it, I recommend it. Although you don't have to do it if you don't want to. Do your thing. Other than that, I'm doing a lot of RPGs here and around. I'm currently in a Witcher campaign, which is at 7, 8. Am I even? I'm gonna check.
I think it's 8.
Yeah, it's 8 because I've got like 6s, 7s, and 8s, and then so it's what time? And that's at 8 on Tales from the Grim, and that has been a fantastic experience. And that I'm cycling off of that one because the season 1 is done, and I will be starting up a campaign of Overlight on Little Red Dot's channel, also on Wednesdays. So this coming Wednesday is my last Tales Witcher, and then the Wednesday after that I'll be doing Overlight, and I'm excited. And then I'm gonna like start up like a Capers game here. I'm doing some Praxagora the Smophoria is having Shakespeare read during the day, during the middle of the coronavirus, and I've been lucky enough to be able to go and read some of the plays there with her, and I'll do a couple more. And so we're in quarantine, right? So people are doing a lot more streaming stuff, and being able to do some Shakespeare, sort of like amazing acting there, being able to be in a lot of really cool campaigns, guesting in when I can, and actually doing interviews like this. So this is sort of my coronavirus moment, and teaching a lot.
Well, there we are. I gotta tell you, yes, I've also been lucky enough to be on a couple of Prax's reading theater bits, and it's glorious. It's so good.
So good.
Yeah, it's been a delight, and I hope she's able to keep doing it for as long as she can, basically, because it's really wonderful to just be able to just go back and just do something as simple as just reading these plays for people.
Yeah,
it's really neat.
Now, I will say, in a perfect world, copyright would not extend 70 years past someone's death, so that we could do more modern plays as well. Like, I would love if I could do anything I wanted and just read some plays, we would be doing, like, we could do the Crucible, we could do some like Pinter, because he's super weird and awesome. Like, there's all this great stuff that we could do as plays, and they're like 50 years old. Like, I'm not talking about things from last year, but 50-year-old stuff that we could do that would be really interesting. I would love that, but hey, copyright.
Yeah. Thanks, Sonny Bono.
Thanks, Sonny Bono.
Yeah. I tell you, yeah, no, and I seriously, me too. I directed a Pinter play once for a school project.
Which one? Which one?
It's a dumbwaiter.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's so many things went wrong in that production, and they forgot their lines about 5 or 6 different times, but no one noticed because it was Pinter.
Yeah,
That's pretty much how that went.
That's a good one. I like. Hey, viewers out there watching, if you've not seen a Pinter, I recommend it. He's able to make the most mundane things seem very, very sinister. Like, how's your coffee this morning? And then you're like, oh no, someone's gonna die. Like, that's it.
Exactly. It's so good. It's so good. But briefly yanking the conversation back over to the streaming for just a moment before I tangent, which I do quite easily. I did just want to ask. So I've seen some of the Witcher episodes that you've done, and you actually play music on this. And I'm just curious for anyone who might be wondering how that came about.
Well, I decided to play not a bard, but I decided to play a noble who was disguising himself as a bard. And I thought, well, if I'm disguising myself as a bard, I should probably play. But there were a couple of things. I was like, but I'm also playing a character who nobody knows is actually well over 200 years old, but has been basically suspended in time for a while. Not really, but he was indisposed. He was a monster for a while. So it's like, well, he would have to play stuff that's basically, I was like, I want him to speak in an antiquated way. I want to sort of try to create a character who actually feels out of time, just in terms of mindset and all of this. And I thought, oh, I'll just kind of use Shakespearean English. People will think I'm just doing it because I'm a bard, but really it's because I'm old. That'll be good. And I was like, okay, well, what instruments? I was like, well, I can't really pull out a lute. That's a lot. And I was like, you know what? I'll just get like a 7-string lyre, because you can get one of those for like $30 on the internet. And all right. And I have never played a lyre in my life. Not at all. It's fine. I picked it up and I was like, this is a cheap lyre, does not hold a tune long. It's fine. It's good enough for one song. And I was like, well, let me go and get some like Elizabethan tunes and find some songs that are actually sort of old enough. And most of them only have melody and not accompaniment because they're super old. And
yeah.
I know music theory. And I was like, well, I can build some chords out of this, and that's all I need for this lyre. And so I just taught myself how to play the lyre well enough to sing some of these tunes for the show, which I thought would help sell my character as a bard, when really he was not. And that was just fun, that was just fun.
That was an utter delight. And you do, so you, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you actually also do music just as a thing, yeah?
Yes, I do. I actually, you know what's great about streaming? Just a side note. You can say to your audience, hey, I'm going to play a banjo tune every week on my Saturday stream in order to force yourself to practice. So you can like use it as motivation. And I had to stop doing that because I was working on the lyre, but I hope I'll get back to it again. So I would sort of make sure I could practice and play the banjo for my stream on the Saturdays, and did a bunch of different things, including Santeria by Sublime on the banjo. It was a thing. Don't worry about it. It happened, but that was fun. And but for a living, I teach music history, so that's what I do for my job on the meat space side of things. And so I'm always thinking about music.
That is so awesome, and just shows how many different things one can pull into games like this. Yeah, it's an absolute delight. Seeing you on anything, it's also a delight. I've seen some of City and Light and Shadow, and it is wonderful to behold. And folks should go and look at it. It is because it is the kind of drama you want to see on anything, really. So I mean, go and check that out, please. And if folks do want to check out your stuff, where should they go?
Oh, well, you can find me at Trooper SJP on Twitch, where all of my stuff is, and I've got my schedule in there. And you can also find me at Academic Foxhole on Twitter, where I tweet oddly. Like, I know people are like, I'm going to tweet every day. And I was like, no, I'm not going to tweet for 3 days, and then I'm going to send you 20 tweets in a long tweet thread about philosophy. I don't think I do Twitter right, but that's okay. I just do it how I do.
I don't think anybody does, really, to be fair. But thank you so much for coming and talking to us.
My pleasure.
It's an absolute pleasure for me as well. And so I'm now going to throw things back to me, probably, or to probably to a just moving picture of some kind. But in the meantime, I'll see you all of a sudden. We have returned. And we're going to do some more prophesying and seeing kind of what happens. And so I guess the question is, who is confused? Who wants to go next?
I'll go. Seven of Spades. Dust that chokes.
Ooh.
So I have to get back into the headspace of this game. Okay. So Omen is confused because he feels much like, or they feel much like how Aspen described earlier, of overwhelmed by visions in this like great high tide. Omen feels almost choked by theirs, like that instead of being covered in this water, that they're like drowning in dust, and they're confused. So I want to know, I'm confused. How can I stop feeling like all of the visions that I am seeing are going to hurt me? How can I see that it's just dust? It's nothing else. And as Aspen's already dealt with a quandary like this, I would like to get their input.
You want me to throw a card down for you?
Yes, Krux, if you can do the honors.
I shall do this thing. There you go. Judgment! So you have either rebirth, inner calling, and absolution, or self-doubt, inner critic, ignoring the call.
What was the first one?
The first one was rebirth, inner calling, and absolution.
We'll go with that one. Alright. So Aspen looks to Omen. For this, I see what we see of that firebird, the mystical firebird that no one has ever seen, of a phoenix. For you, Omen. For when its time finishes, it burns in its own ashes, burns in its own fire, and returns from its ashes, reborn. I do not feel dread from this dust that you are drowning in. I feel a rebirth of your own sight, of what you see. It is something that you have sought for a long time in your inner self that has been calling out to you. And with this rebirth, you will find the absolute power that you have and come into the full maturity of it. That is what I see from your confusion.
Just wanted to apologize if folks saw me sort of chuckling there for a moment. It was because of a thing that just occurred to me while this was going on. It didn't actually have anything to do with what was being said.
I feel perhaps that omen has been rubbing off on me. And I must say that for there to be a rebirth, and of course, Aspen, you are wise in seeing this, but for there to be a rebirth, there must first be a death, or something must fall. And I do not yet know if this means that you will judge yourself or if another will judge you, but there is... It is not a bad thing sometimes to let a part of ourself die that we may be reborn, but there is something coming, and it will force a change.
So I have a thought that perhaps is heard echoing from the distance.
Is Krux still in the hollow tree?
I feel like you're back at this point.
I'm probably back. Yeah. The neat thing about this is we don't really have to figure that out. We can just sort of decide on a meta level. But it's that you know, maybe it's a voice in your own head that you're hearing. I don't know. But it's. But yeah, I could be back at this point. Or I send an animal to say. I send a pterodactyl to tell everyone. Just a little one. And it's a baby pterodactyl. No, anyway, I'm getting distracted by flying lizards. You hear this possibility that it's like, if you allow this dust to choke you, if you do not see your way out, if you do not try to avoid losing yourself, there will be, I foresee, a sort of a rebirth, yes, a rebirth of judgment. As you will rise from the ashes, a terrible, fiery judge on humanity, laying waste to that which must fall under your sword, burning all that must be burned to the ground. Will this be a good thing? I don't know. It could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. But it really is a question of who you want to be. I think Aspen is muted.
And Aspen's seeing the finality of the vision. Omen. What Ink stated is true. And what Krux said is meant to be flipped. For there will come a pass for your rebirth. That what you know now can be your undoing. That judgment call of self-destruction will be for later, and not for now. You will find your absolute in your powers, in what you see. As stated by both me and Ink, and some of what Krux has said, but it shall not be a rebirth of undoing.
Okay. So, with all of that, Owen sort of goes off on a smaller scale, meditative mission to ponder sort of my life as an oracle, my career as an oracle, what I've seen, what I've heard, and realizes that I don't need to fear these visions I have. I need to just allow them to come to me as they will, and submit myself to them. And so they go and just clear their mind and allow the visions to become a part of them, instead of feeling that there's something to work against them, and becomes a much more content oracle.
Cool. Yeah. So who would like to go next?
You're good, Ink.
Yeah.
Great. So I'm gonna draw the card, but I know what my confusion is, so I want to see what the card pulls out. King of Hearts, forgiving and forgetting. Oh, this is delightful. Ink is hurt and confused because everyone keeps going away. First Krux went away, and then Omen went away. And yes, they came back, but they keep going away. And we are supposed to be oracles together. We are supposed to train and teach the next. And I have my apprentice, but now I have started teaching them that perhaps they cannot rely on others, for they will always abandon you. And now Ink is confused. Ink doesn't know who they are without the other oracles, and what happens if they all just leave. And Ink will ask Aspen for counsel here, because Aspen is the only one that has not left yet.
So Aspen goes to Ink. And first, gotta draw that card.
Oh yeah. Let me do that. Here you go, 10 of Cups. Divine love and blissful harmony, or struggling relationships, misalignment of values.
Take a moment and appreciate how kind of
We'll
freaky
go with-
this is.
It's magic.
Right?
Summer is a sorceress.
Isn't that like the point of tarot?
So I'm gonna go with that one, the misalignment of values and struggling relationships. So Aspen goes to Ink and advises them. I see that you are in your own confusion, struggling between the bonds that you have already created with Krux and Omen. But it must be known that we as oracles are here, yes, in guidance for one to help one another. But as you have your own apprentice, that is what we must see. We are not here for an infinite time. You are being misguided by your feelings of hurt and the bonds that you have felt being torn. You must push the personal aside to find clarity. For they do not do it out of spite, but they leave to find their own realignment. For how will they be able to assist in our own visions when they are struggling with their own? Their counsel could be misleading when what they see is unclear. So for you to step out of your confusion, I see the struggles must end. And your misled feelings must be re-advised.
Thank you, Aspen. I will consider this.
Trying to think if I had anything I wanted to throw in there. But, yeah, just very briefly, I think all Krux is going to say is, I am always with you. And that's all he's going to say.
And Aspen takes that into agreement. That not physically there, but they do have a connection that is always going to be there. You know, with the little pterodactyls. Telepathic notes.
I'm just one pterodactyl away. All you have to do is send a pterodactyl.
It's canon now. We've said it 3
Canon.
times.
Oh, don't worry. Does Omen have anything they would like to share?
Owen just hears your confusion and thinks about how our relationship has been contentious at times, but through every confusion, every misunderstanding, we always seem to come out the other side with a stronger relationship. So perhaps it'll be the same here.
Did Aspen already give a final interpretation of the vision?
Oh, I hadn't added omens, but every advice that is given is a word of counsel and something to heed, for they have both gone on their own journeys to find what they needed to come back to us in the end. So, previous statement and now statement both collided.
Ink hears this, but does not listen, and goes outside, now with quite a few apprentices. Always has at least 3 or 4 in their immediate orbit, but there are more. Some are out in the city or out in the world. But we'll go out and look up to the sky and see the pterodactyls flying and know that to be a symbol of Krux always watching us. But takes no solace in this and spends quite a bit of time in the stables nearby, the pens where the Dilophosaurus are kept, the small, lithe creatures with the large frills around their head that like to spit acid. And these become the symbol of ink. The delicate, small, unassuming pack creatures that, when provoked, will shout and cause harm. And ink uses this to spread a new message, one that says perhaps Krux and maybe one day Omen will abandon us, and would you rather not have a new coven of oracles that will always be together, always be talking, always be guiding, that you do not fall into the trap of our forebears who would only listen to one and make poor decisions because of it. You can have the sky, Krux. I will take the land.
Oh, this turned dark.
It's like, that was Omen's thing.
I'm concerned now. Well, there we are. Is there a...
Krux has the sky, Ink has the land, but clearly I have the mind.
Is anyone else confused?
No question is, who wants the ocean?
Yeah, ocean is still up for bid.
I shall take the sea with that creature. I can't remember that creature that came out of the ocean in Jurassic World at the moment.
Oh. See,
it's gigantic and will eat anything that goes into its waters.
See, I haven't actually seen Jurassic World, so all, of course, my brain is going to go to is the Meg.
Right? But it eats megalodons, actually.
Oh,
so,
does it? Okay.
Yes.
Big fish.
The Mosasaurus.
Yes.
Mosasaurus? Yeah.
It's a prehistoric, I think, crocodile, alligator, or something like that.
His name is Mo. And I only need 3 to control the waters.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow. Oh, this is starting to get a little divisive. Does anyone have a confusion they would like to address? Because I feel like there's plenty to be confused about now. Yes, I'm sorry. Who was that?
Me. I'll get my confusion. Alright. Let's see if I can do it this time. Hold on.
Okay.
This happens every game we play cards with Roll20. There's always one person, because Roll20 just decides, you will not be able to draw cards. No.
Alright. They're like, you can't have cards. That'd be
No.
too easy.
Not allowed. You have to move the cards with your mind. Everyone else can use their mouse. Not you.
I was like, I wonder if I can do pan view. Nope.
Huh.
All right. So I'll let you know what it is.
Okay.
Oh,
It is an 8 of spades.
Okay.
It has no good or bad. It is smothering heat on both ends.
Smothering heat. Yeah, no, that's the confusion cards only have the one thing. Okay, smothering heat, and if you like, whilst you expound upon that, I shall recall it and try to get it up there if you like. It's 8 of
All right.
8 of which?
8 of spades.
8 of spades. Okay, got it. All right.
All right. You know, goes with my name. Aspen Heat.
This is true. This is true. Is it a dry heat? No.
It could be. I think we're getting into those spells now. I reside in Texas, so it was bound to happen.
Yeah.
I'm from Phoenix.
That's even worse.
Yeah, it's actually dry there.
Later question, how does anyone live in Phoenix? But
I don't anymore, although I
So-
do miss it. I'm in Los Angeles now.
It's still hot.
Yeah,
And we had the
it's
vision that you are a phoenix.
like
which is
95.
very strange.
now we're having visions of Phoenix.
People as phoenixes.
See, that's what you were, Oben. You were the Phoenix.
It was you all along.
Maybe the real Phoenix was the friends we made along the way.
That's right.
Right?
Real friends were the dinosaurs we made along the way. No, wait. There it is. Smothering heat.
Alright. My confusion. So Aspen is feeling the dread of what is brought upon by ink. The feeling of abandonment, and it feels suffocating. And hot, for as they're creatures of the land that they have sought out to control, and bring about a new home for oracles. It is becoming too overwhelming for them, that even the things that they have sought to learn to calm their own tides of visions is not helping. So they know they do not want to leave, but they know that there is refreshment nearby. But before they seek that to get away from the suffocation that has now become the residence of the 4 oracles, they go to Krux, for he has been with us the longest, to find guidance.
Yes. Okay. Krux will fly down from his promontory and Let's see. He will draw the Two of Wands. Progress, discovery, planning, or fear of the unknown, backwards movement. Ink is having a time. They have concerns, and I understand those concerns, but they need to. Taking this action is. If taking this action is what they need, then it's what they need right now. I have hope that they will. They will return to the compassion that I know they have. But, and that may change things. This heat itself, I believe that you will be able to adapt. You will learn from it and find ways to deal and understand. Now, some of that may need to be at a remove. You may need to go to wander from time to time. That does not mean that this is not your home. But I think as you study and learn and even indeed travel, you will discover things. Find ways to deal with, even incorporate this heat if you need to. Or find ways to redirect it. But you must do so in harmony with the forces that exist, the currents of things that exist. Because, well, thankfully the storms turned out not to be quite as difficult as we had thought, because there were those who listened. Now that will be harder, but a similar principle can apply in that you can find ways in harmony with the paths of things that will allow you to grow and change, and you will have a plan that you can set forward on to deal with it. Even if you feel you must detach temporarily, I see you coming back. And finding a way to deal with the whole thing. Thus is my vision. Does anyone else have any thoughts? All right. Well, that's what I see.
And Aspen turns to Krux. Thank you, Krux, for your wise counsel. And I do not seek to wander, though it feels as if I should. I know there is a place nearby that is still within our area of our township of Oracle. that I will just go there to replenish. For I feel now is the time to stay rather than to leave. And that is what Aspen does. What comes to pass is they do not venture far, and they know what Ink is feeling. Will find a way to mend itself in its own way, but they do not want to cast any more feelings of doubt. So they go to the nearby body of water that is near their township, just to meditate on everything and realign themselves.
Is anyone? So who has our next confusion?
I have a confusion. If that's okay. Okay. Self-improvement. So, Omen is watching what Ink is doing right now. In this sort of this conflict that has just seemed to arise between our little group of oracles, and Omen is confused because Ink always seemed to have this strong desire to improve and look up to all of us and make our group as a whole better. But now they've gone off with this new group, and Omen feels like now they have been abandoned. And where's the strengthening of our group that we've been doing? Now we're feeling disconnected. And I think I'll also ask Krux for counsel on this.
Well, let me consult. And Krux looks into one of the many sources of prophecy. Has a brief chat with a velociraptor, and draws the Two of Cups. Partnership, mutual attraction, or breakup, disharmony, and distrust. Huh. All right. There are two of you. You know, in a sense, sort of somewhat not warring with each other, but trying to reconcile the two potential streams of reality that we see before us. One with everyone together in harmony, the other everyone disparate. Two futures. How do we find the one we want. That is difficult. We do not control the future. We can only work toward one. In coming into harmony with yourself, you can create a single future from these two. You can also do this by drawing strength from others, finding someone upon whom you can absolutely rely. That's the word I'm looking for. Upon whom you can absolutely rely. That may be you yourself, your other self, or it may be someone else. That is up to you. But I foresee that in reconciling, yes, you will find a way to reconcile these things. It will be difficult. You may, as we have foreseen previously, have to cast off pieces of yourself to do it. But I think in the end you will have the support you need to see it through. And work toward a future where all is in harmony once again. I have spoken.
Does anyone else have thoughts?
Ink, in passing, knows that there will be disharmony if we do not realign the partnership, and that disharmony may be destructive. And we'll share this knowledge with Omen, but does not seem to react to it one way or the other.
I think that Ink is. I think that Ink is right in that there will be some degree of disharmony before there is harmony. I mean, there is already. I think that there will be some amount of time when healing needs to happen. So that needs to be taken into account as well. Aside from that, it is, I think, as I said.
Okay. So hearing this, Omen decides to reach out to Ink to reconcile the bond we once had. Send a little pterodactyl with an olive branch. And just see if we can begin to work through our differences before it becomes too late or too destructive. And that's what I do.
So I think we probably have time for maybe one more round for each of us before we hit, before we get to what probably will be the end of our time. Do we want to go ahead and just do basically just like one more round of each of us doing a question, and then having that be like our our final confusions? Would we be good with that? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and start then. Three of Clubs, Pearls of Fate. So, I think I'm going to do the selfish and unprecedented thing. Well, it's not that unprecedented. This is a thing totally in the game. I'm going to choose myself as my own oracle on this, which is again totally a thing you can do. But first, the question: Pearls of Fate. The confusion that I have is what is the I think that there is a big change about to happen, and I am having difficulty seeing what it is going to be. I'm having difficulty because it seems everything... I have these many voices that are whispering to me different possible rewards that I've been ignoring for a very long time. And I feel as though this needs to be settled once and for all. And I sit there introspectively, as I have learned to do, and as I was counseled long ago, upon a rocky promontory, and I ask myself this question. Before I begin consulting. And I get the death card.
Beautiful.
Endings,
Oh, no.
change, transformation, transition. Or resistance to change, inner purging.
So isn't the death card like almost like a significant end of the game thing?
It's oddly enough. So there's a variant you can play where after you draw the King of Clovers, Death's Kiss, then that's like the then that's when you stop drawing confusion cards. But yeah, there are no notes about the death card, but that is differently decorated from all the others. So I feel as though it has some kind of significance.
Holds meaning
For
to us
me,
all.
what I find funny is that I've died is just on a personal level is that I've died in one of Summer's games before, and I'm now looking at this thinking, even when reaching across space and time, I can still be. She can still snuff me out even without being in this game. But anyway, yes, the answer. And so Krux says to himself, the answer is that you can't continue this as you. There is terrible conflict coming, and you have to transcend if you want to get a hold of this change that is about to happen and direct it in a more positive way. Now, that may involve surrendering to the forces to which you listen, or it may involve finally choosing one and seizing it. But you've got to do something. Now, I will be happy to hear advice from anyone who who wishes to provide it. Via visit or pterodactyl or what have you.
Aspen's gonna do one. It's going to be the reverse. Resistance of change and inner purging. So Aspen comes to Krux for they will not send Mo. And Krux, I see the card that you have been dealt. And I know what is the finality that you see. But with that, I know for you and for all of us, there is going to be a resistance to your passing. There's already resistance as it is on one end of the spectrum when it comes to ink. And though we are all looking for finality in this, we see that with your passing, all of us will go through a resistance of this, for we do not wish this to come to pass. But with it, we must all have an inner purging of things that are holding us back to reach an infinite end as you have been seeking. So I say to you, Krux, may this card and your visions come to pass swiftly and as smoothly as possible, so that we may all find that harmony once again within our own township. Or I feel we may never get to that again, and this card is a finality for us four.
Thank you, Aspen. I think you've always been the kindest of us, in some ways. I can see that there is an immediate finality upon us. Did anyone else have anything they wanted to add? Alright then. So, the only adjustment I shall make to this prophecy, yes, is simply that there is an immediate and a swift darkness falling, and it must be dealt with. Before I say what actually happens, I just wanted to ask real quick, since I'm seeing messages to this effect in our chat. Are we wanting to end on this card?
I mean, I'm good with that. It feels natural.
Same.
This card was finality. It was.
Okay.
It's both closure and open-ended.
That's fair. I think, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say what happens in the immediate, then if possible I'd like to do a little coda where we just go around briefly and say sort of what the last thing we think we see, what the last thing we think each of our characters does in this narrative, if that's okay. Would that be all right? I know that's not in the rules, but all right. So, as the resolution of this, I think that we see that Krux will be sitting there on his promontory. Will nod. He will pass on some of his sources, some of his powers to, by one way or another, by pterodactyl. These tokens will appear to Aspen, to Omen, and to Ink, of some of these sources that Krux has found, the more benevolent ones. And we see Krux sitting on this rock, this promontory, meditating, until eventually a great light appears from within and then flashes, and then his clothes collapse onto the rock, because that's how these things happen. And we no longer, we can no longer see him. He is no longer physically there. He has transcended. So I'd like to go around, if we can, just briefly, and ask what it is that, just any last little coda, little last thing that we would see that these characters doing. And as always, we can go in any order. So who wants to say a thing? Or I could just go around the, do we want to go around, just say clockwise this time and just go like Aspen, Omen, Ink? Do we want to do it that way? Or do we want to go... Okay.
I'm good with whatever.
Yeah.
So what is the, so what do we see happen with Aspen? What do you think happens to Aspen?
I feel like it comes to a full circle. Aspen takes by their name residing. They are an oracle of that resides closer to the finality of the water aspect, where everyone has chosen their own elements in a way. One by land, one by sea, one by air, and now one by spirit. And so, they are the water oracle. And Aspen still tries to keep a bond with Ink through everything, and a bond with Omen, and they still seek out both of them, for they feel like their bond will never be severed, and they will still try and seek out Krux through his infinite spirit wisdom from the great beyond. It's Aspen.
Cool.
Yeah, so Omen is, in seeing all of these changes with the group, with the friends that they have, is starting to sort of revert back to their classic mannerisms of seeing the negative in their visions, but has also discovered hope. And so Omen will look and see these omens of tragedy to come, but hope that it will turn out differently if they can reconcile their bond with their old friend Ink. So Omen is going to keep that line open and try and allow that harmony to come back to our group of oracles.
Cool.
You see Ink's apprentices always in groups of 4 with their little dinosaur counterparts, the little Dilophosaurus. Each has one. You see them always moving like a small pack, a small family through the cities and towns and throughout the world. They are always together, always learning from each other. They always prophesize together. But Ink is not with them. Ink has gone to the place that Krux went to when he sought isolation to bring clarity, because Ink wants to understand why Krux left and what that brought him. And perhaps in this understanding, Ink will learn how they might reconnect with Aspen and Omen so that they can be a fully formed unit again.
And I will just briefly say, I think we will momentarily, when that happens, we will see in a moment Krux standing beside Ink and just basically saying, "See, I told you, I'm always with you."
Did you seriously just come back from the dead for an "I told you so"? That's what Ink is thinking, but not saying.
Yes, I did. He's not physically there, but you know. All right. Well, thank you all very much for playing. This is a lot of fun. I really enjoy this game. I am so glad that Summer has brought it into the world. I would like to thank Summer very much for doing so. This here, I'm going to put the link to this game in chat for folks interested to go forth and make purchase upon it if they so desire. Is very cool, and it comes with neat cards, and so definitely check that out. We're gonna go ahead and do our outros for this as we're sort of coming down from all this, and we can. That was neat. That was really neat. That ended much more epically than I thought it was going to. So that actually was very cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna go ahead and go around opposite from the way we started again to do our outros. Feel free to say where folks can find you. Feel free to plug anything you like, and then feel free to say any final thoughts you had about this game and about this game session. And so we're going to start with Eve.
Mm-hmm. So you can find me on Twitter at Alec_1116. I'm also on Twitch as RoxyKit. And pretty much I just hope to play this game again outside of quarantine. It's been fun. Quarantine distance has been somewhat nerve-wracking going through all of it. But, you know, being able to do this has been a highlight entirely. So, thank you for having me play.
Well, thank you for playing. This was it was very cool having you on. That's and even from your vehicle. So
right.
That was.
We learned
cool.
that.
Yes. And let us move over to Sin.
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter. It's at the Mosier. If you go on there and want to see more of the cats that walked behind me, I post a lot of pictures of them. And I also have an Animal Crossing Twitter that's at Island Sin, where I post all of my shitty Animal Crossing content. I don't really do anything else, so if you just want to talk to me on Twitter, I'm on Twitter.
Very cool. Did you have any final thoughts about Futurity or anything?
Oh yeah, it was interesting. It was very different from most of the games that I'm used to playing. So
It is a cool, very cool story game. It's neat, and I love the freedom that it gives you to sort of just go in any direction pretty much you like. So that was really neat. And finally, we'll go over to Alex.
Hi, Jim, always a delight being on your channel. My name is Alex, pronouns they, them. You can find me on Twitter at Alex Wolf, WULF. This game was unique. It is probably the most open-ended storytelling game I've played, in a very good way. Like, it gave just enough structure that we felt empowered to say things, but there was no world we had to lean into. There was not even art in the card that implied fantasy or science fiction or anything like that. I really liked it. My only regret is that we didn't commit to dinosaurs sooner.
No,
we really should have just leaned into that.
could have had so many more dinosaurs.
No, I just that I want to play again because I really just want to pick like something ludicrous like dinosaurs or
we'll do this again. It will just be about dinosaurs and sandwiches.
Yes, that's true.
we will be dinosaur oracles.
Yes,
like,
all the oracles will be dinosaurs. Everything will be dinosaurs.
Velociraptor Pope, I'm here for it. Okay, so yes.
Pope.
Loved it. Had a ton of fun. You can usually find me playing on Other Doc's channel. This is where I have made my little streaming home, and anytime Jim will have me, I'm always happy to play. And I think that's it. It was lovely playing with all of you, but as always, I love meeting new players. Even Sin, it was great playing with you for the first time, and I never would have known that you'd never done streams like this before. This is awesome. Oh, and because you mentioned Animal Crossing, my quarantine hobby is not playing Animal Crossing. It is reading about Animal Crossing. So I have learned a bit about the turnip economy and now the fake art dealers or fake art. This has become my hobby, and it is wonderful.
Nice. Nice. It's just so amusing watching all the things that come out of that. Awesome. Always awesome to have you on. And let's see. Dinosauricals. Brian is saying thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. So who am I? I'm Jim Ryan. You can find me at OtherDoc on both Twitch and Twitter. My website is jim.com, where you can find my Geek Observation podcast and links to my various other podcasts, audio dramas, writings, and such. I have links down below to my website, Twitter, YouTube channel, and some of my fiction and games I've been working on, along with links to game signups and applications to join our Discord. Tonight, in about an hour, we're going to have the continuation of our Dark Matter campaign, Ghosts of Saltmaw. It's Ghosts of Saltmarsh in Space, run by Alyssa. Tomorrow night, Monday night, I am going to be over on the channel Salty Sweet Games, playing in their D&D 5e campaign. We're doing the Barrier Peaks, and so I'm very excited to get started on that. That is the premiere tomorrow night at about, I think it's 9 Eastern. On Tuesdays, this coming Tuesday, we are continuing our short campaign of Las Vegas in the afternoon. We're getting close to the end. I'm going to be the dealer on Tuesday, so there will be much madness, as is always the case. And we'll sort of see how close we are to ending. It's probably going to be either this Tuesday or the Tuesday after. I think we're going to finally end that because we're almost there. Then Tuesday night. This Tuesday we have the finale of our short campaign of Monster of the Week. I can't believe it's gone by so fast, but there it is. We are at the final episode of that, and so very much looking forward to seeing how they solve the whole mystery of it and deal with the monster. So that again is going to be Tuesday night. Wednesday nights we have our regular Masks campaign run by Mole Thulu. There is a distinct possibility we will actually be starting back up again this Wednesday. We got to see, to be sure, because there's real life stuff going on. But hopefully we'll be back. But it's happening soon, one way or the other. Then on Thursday nights, we have the continuation of our short campaign of The Sprawl, run by guest GM Brian, who's been emceeing that. It's been we've had one mission so far. It's been a lot of fun. Looking forward to more missions. On Saturday night, we have our regular Invisible Sun campaign, The Edge of Paradox, that I run. Where they're on a train, things are going nuts. There was the last night the game I was running was interrupted by 3 tornadoes, so hopefully we'll be able to pick up where we left off on this coming Saturday, and try to get back to it. But the culmination of it was that there was a champagne flute that was narrowly avoided a shattering death, and it was quite dramatic. So we ended on an interesting point there, and hopefully we'll be back this coming Saturday. And of course, Sunday, 1 week from today, we're going to have our next one shot, which is going to be Seco Creek Vigilance Committee. That is basically it's 310 to Yuma the RPG. Sign-ups are still open for that. And the game is basically the idea is that the players are all taking on the roles of members of a posse who have captured these criminals in a gang, and everybody in the town wants them dead. The gang wants to break them out, and so it's this sort of difficult choices. It's very much a sort of a story game. This idea of trying to sort of negotiate with these factions and try to sort out what it is that you're going to do, and each character having sort of slightly different motivations of their own. And I think it's going to be very interesting. I really want to sort of see how that goes. It seems like there's going to be some interesting deep RP for that. Sign-ups, as I said, are open for that now. If you want to sign up for anything, you can go down to RPG Sign Up or go to jimyesthatjim.com and click on Game Sign Up. As always, beginners are welcome. Also, we still have sign-ups open for the next month's mini-campaign, which will be Call of Cthulhu. I'm going to be taking a stab at running that, the actual Chaosium Cthulhu game, for the first time. Sign-ups are open for that until this Wednesday, the 29th of April. And so after that, I shall pick a cast. So, as I said, feel free to click on the various things that I said to click on if you wish to try to sign up for that. So, when we hit the end card, I'm going to send a raid over to Wandering DM. They're doing a charity stream to benefit the Girl Scouts. They're playing Castle Falkenstein, and it's there are a number of celebrity players on there right now, and so we're going to go over there and say hi to them. Feel free to hang on and say hi to them with us if you so desire. I see right now Gail Simone and Mercedes Lackey are 2 of the players in this, so I'm just going to go say hi. That again will be when we hit the end card. In the meantime, folks, thank you all very much for watching. Take care, and I will see you all of a sudden. Farewell.